Hi friends, welcome to our channel Plants, Crochet, Cooking and more. See, I'm already ready with a beautiful rib pattern. Now this pattern is in the multiple of 5 and it is just a 2-row pattern. So I'm sure y'all are eager to learn this pattern. So here I am ready with my 9 number needle and I have already cast 25 stitches. Now let us begin the first row. Now the very first stitch we can just slip off, but as it is the first stitch I am just going to knit. Now the next stitch is going to be a purl, the simple purl, and the third stitch we are going to do a knit, but the yarn is wound around the needle in a different fashion, and then again purl, and we turn the yarn and we are going to do a knit. Here there will be a twisting of the stitches. We'll be working on 2 stitches, but we will be working on the second stitch first, that too from the back side. See, I am putting my needle from the back side. Now I'm going to work a knit. Now I'll transfer the first stitch into the right needle and then let off the second stitch and I will knit it. Yarn forward, purl 1 and then knit 1. See, the twisting or the yarn over is in a different fashion. Then again purl 1 and I'll be working on 2 stitches. That will be a knit, but I'll be working the second stitch first, then I'll be working on the first stitch after I let go of the second stitch, a remaining loop. Then again purl 1. Now again knit. I do a knit, but the yarn is wound in a different fashion. Then again purl 1, yarn backwards. There'll be a knit, but there'll be a twisting of the stitches. That means the second stitch I'll be working first, then I'll transfer my first stitch into my right needle so that I can let go of the previous stitch, or you can just work directly as I did just now. Now again purl 1, now knit 1, regular knit, but the yarn will be used or put in a different fashion. Then again purl 1, yarn backwards. Now there will be a twisting of the stitches. That means the second stitch I'll be working first. Yes, that too from the back side. Once that is done, I will transfer my first stitch into the right needle so that I can let go of the remaining stitch, and then I will work a knit. I'm quite close to the end of this row. Then I do a purl 1. Now I turn my yarn and I'll be working one knit. It's a regular knit, but just that the yarn has to be put in a different fashion, or the yarn has to be wound in a different fashion. Then one purl and then finishing off this row with a knit. So this completes our first row, the very first row. Now let us move on to the second row. Here I slip one stitch off and then I do a knit. Then I turn my yarn forward. This step needs to be washed carefully. Now I'll be doing a purl, but the yarn is wound in a different fashion. Then yarn backwards, a knit, again yarn forward. Now the twisting of the stitches will take place between the 2 stitches. The second stitch I purl first, I shift my stitch to the right hand, then I let go of the previous half stitch and I do a purl. Now yarn backwards, knit 1, yarn forward. That has to be done again in a different fashion. Winding of the yarn has to be done in a different fashion, that is from the lower side to the upper end. Now again twisting of the stitch is taking place. That is, I am working the second stitch first, then letting go off, and then I'll be working on my first stitch. Yarn backwards, one knit, now yarn forward. This will be a purl, but the yarn will go from down upwards. Here again, after doing a knit, here the twisting of the stitches taking place between the two stitches, the second stitch being worked first, then the first stitch is being worked a purl, then we do a knit one. Now this is purl one, but this yarn will go from the lower side to the upper side, then again knit one. Now again twisting of the stitches, the second stitch will be worked first. We do a purl, then I let go of the second stitch, and then I work on the first stitch, then knit one followed by purl one. Again the yarn will be wound from lower side to the upper end, then a knit, and then finishing off with one purl. So a second row is complete. So again I'm starting off with the pattern: slip one stitch, purl one, yarn backwards. I'll be doing a knit from the front, but the yarn will be twisted in a different manner, that is from up downwards. Then purl one, then again the twisting of the stitches, that is, I'll be working from the back side. The second stitch will be worked first, then the stitch will be transferred into the right needle and then back to the left needle, and I'll be working a knit. Now again purl one, now knit one. Again this will be, the yarn will be wound in a different fashion. Again purl one, and again twisting of the stitches, that is, the second stitch will be worked first, that too from the back loop, and then I'll be working the first stitch. Now again purl one, yarn backwards, knit one, but the yarn will go from up toward the lower end. Now purl one, again twisting of the stitches, the second stitch has to be worked first from the back side. Then I let go of the stitch and then work on the first stitch. Again purl one, yarn backwards, knit by winding the yarn from the upper end towards the lower side. Again twisting of the stitches, that is, the second stitch will be worked first, then the stitch will be transferred and the previous stitch will let it go, and then work a knit. Again purl one and again knit one, but the yarn will go from up to the lower side. Then again purl one and finishing it off with a knit. If you watch carefully, this pattern is a 5-stitch pattern. We just keep repeating the 5 stitches. So the first stitch I slip off, then I do a knit. Now yarn forward, I'll be doing a purl, but the yarn will be wound from the lower end to the upper side. Now again yarn backwards, knit one. The twisting of the stitches is taking place. We have to be a little careful so that we don't slip off the stitch, because that will again create problem. Now again knit one, yarn forward, again twisting of the stitches. We do a purl. First the second stitch is worked, then I transfer the stitch to the right needle, and then I let go of the previous stitch and then work on the first stitch. It's a simple process, it's just a matter of practice. Now purl one, that too, the yarn goes from the lower side to the upper end. Again the twisting of the stitches. So all that needs to be done is just repeating the 5 stitches again and again. Another thing I would like to tell here is that this is a rib pattern I've told you in the beginning, or you have seen in the caption, but you can use this stitch in the main body as well. We can just start our cardigan or whatever we are working on the project. We can start off with this very pattern and work all through with this pattern. That too will look stunning. But what I would suggest is, if you are working a cardigan, if you are making a cardigan using this stitch, it is better to use some extra stitches than we normally take for other patterns, because this pattern is slightly tight in nature, so that has to be kept in mind. And this pattern can also be used as a rib for any sweaters. It will look beautiful. Working on the right side, I do a purl, and then I am doing a knit by winding the yarn in a different fashion. Then I do a purl, and again twisting of the stitches, that is the back stitch, or the second stitch is worked first, that too from the back end. Then I'll be doing a purl and then yarn backwards. I'll be doing a knit, but the yarn will go in a different fashion. Again purl, followed by twisting of the stitches from the back side, that is the second stitch is worked first, and the first stitch is transferred into the right needle so that we can let go of the previous remaining stitch and then work on a second stitch. So purl 1, again knit 1, the yarn will go in a different fashion, that is from top towards the lower end. And so here I finished off this particular row. Now moving on to the next row, I slip one stitch off, then I do a knit, and now I'll be doing a purl, but the yarn will be wound in a different fashion, that is from the lower end towards the upper end. Now yarn backwards, I do a knit, yarn forward, again the twisting of the stitches, that is the second stitch will be worked first, followed by the transferring of the stitch and then working a purl on the first stitch. Then I do a knit and again a purl, but the yarn will be wound from the lower end to the upper end. And so this is how we have to continue with our pattern, so that we get a beautiful and elegant looking pattern. Just a matter of repeating 5 number of stitches again and again till we reach or till we get our desired size or length. I hope you friends will try this out. If you have any issues regarding the pattern, if you are having problem in understanding the pattern, you can comment. I will try to get back to you so that the doubts can be cleared off. Actually the pattern is easy, but just a few steps needs a little bit of practice. That's it. So here this row comes to an end. Well, this is how our pattern looks. I hope you all liked it. So friends, as I always say, do not forget to share, subscribe and comment. Do hit the like button if you found the video interesting. If you have stopped by for the first time, do take a moment to subscribe and stay tuned for more of interesting videos. So, till we meet again, it is bye-bye.